First of all, Rebecca, did the irrational exuberance during the dot-com boom last forever? No, clearly the whole thing collapsed in 2000. All right, so that's the end of that. But did we have severe inflation? No. And after all, we did have a recession, but it was not the end of the world. See, this is very important. So Mr. Greenspan defended himself. He said, look, if I had forced interest rates up in 1997 or so, sure, I could have forced them up high enough, we would have stopped the stock market bubble in its tracks, but then everyone would have been screaming bloody murder that I was choking the economy off, because there's no doubt very high interest rates will choke everything off. So choose your poison. What was I to do? And the better to let it run. And you know, sure enough, it'll all work out, because now, speaking of the word now, we're coming full circle to where we were at 11 o'clock this morning. Now, all we have to do in the year 2001 is, come on, what did the Fed do in 2001? That's exactly right, Mike. All we have to do is push down the interest rates into the basement and the horse will run again. Everybody with me? But there were a couple of things that were a little different. First of all, remember, we were no longer in a high inflation climate as conventionally measured. That's very important, as conventionally measured. So that was different. But there was something else that was different, and because this time we were not, as we had been in earlier recessions, we were not in a real estate slump. And so this time, when we pushed the interest rates down into the sub-basement, the real estate exploded. Although it didn't explode from a trough, it exploded from a peak. Right? And so we had that 100-year flood. And of course, it provoked a lot of craziness. I mean, it just provoked craziness on the part of the lenders, on the loan originators, on the securitizing of the debt. Does everybody, I mean, it just provoked a lot of craziness. And when people said, wait a minute, we've got another bubble brewing here, the answer was, well, step back. We're not going to do anything about it, because it's not general inflation, right? It's not the CPI, very important. And after all, last time the bubble burst, and you know, we were able to handle it. And what's more, actually real estate can never be a bubble, because everyone's got to live in their house, and therefore the prices will never fall fast. You know, does everybody understand? There's always a reason you can give for what? Not doing anything. Yeah, there's always a reason you give for not doing something. And so what happened is, well, you know what happened, you know, everybody knows what happened. But this time it's a little different, because this time, and let me push my analogy, this time we let the horse run and run, right? The reins were let go, and the horse ran and ran till he broke his leg. And so, you know, he stepped in a hole or something. And so the thing is, it's not going to, or the horse is tired out, so that's not quite as cruel. So the horse is now exhausted, right? He needs a rest. So just dropping the reins isn't going to do it this time. Does everybody understand? The horse is headed for the barn. He's barn sour. He's not going anywhere. And you can, you know, he's got to have his water and some oats and a nap, and then maybe. But when it comes to just running again. And that's the problem. So right now, and I won't want to put another chart up, have we pushed the interest rates into the basement once again? They're into the triple sub-basement, right? I think we have the the federal funds rate is like 0.25%, right? That's a quarter of a percent. And it ain't working. Does everybody see? It's a very different situation. It really is different this time. It's not like before where if you let because before it was a general inflationary climate. And now it's not. And there's a lot of things that are going on that are different. And one thing that's going on that's different is we didn't have this problem. Does everybody understand? We didn't. So things are different, and therefore, new disease, but same old medicine. Now, there are some things different, but in my own view, I give the Federal Reserve somewhere between an F and a D for anticipating this crisis. I think Mr. Greenspan was just wrong. He was just wrong, and I don't think, and Mr. Bernanke followed in his footsteps. And so they really played a game of catch up. You know, they were trying to catch up, and they were always one step behind. Now, I think finally the Federal Reserve has caught up, so I would give Mr. Bernanke, and who am I? Mr. Bernanke's an eminence. I'm not. But this is my seminar today, so what the heck. But the thing is that I would say that since, you know, lately, yes, everything is going well, but anticipating the crisis, no. No, it really was not anticipated. You know, they didn't see Attila till he climbed over the wall. And they should have spotted him on the horizon. And so therefore, we've got a different situation. And so this is very interesting, isn't it? Up and then down and up. But the up didn't get past the previous up. And now we're back down again. Now, of course, I understand the stock market's come up, but we'll see. I mean, we'll see. It's always worthwhile to anticipate problems and see and look, and that's why we're doing this today. You know, you can see, because we've noticed that the two biggest problems, first, the dot-com problem. There was a hint when profits started falling. And by the way, people talked about it. It's not like nobody talked about it. People were talking about it, but it was ignored. Second, when it came to the real estate debacle, there were people talking about it. There were people saying, and they were talking not about only about the fact that the real estate prices were falling, but there were people even before that who said, wait a minute, this is like the Sorcerer's Apprentice. This is getting out of control here, and the lending is out of control. It's got to be stopped. And by the way, getting back to the Fed, there were people who said, the Fed, you have the power to stop this lending that's going on. It's irresponsible what's taking place, and they wouldn't do it. See, they absolutely wouldn't do it. And there was a way it could have been regulated and wasn't regulated, and here we are.